You're on.
Hola everyone. This is going to be a kind of an adding to the Four Horsemen presentation we did about 3 or so weeks back. It's kind of really an update to it, really, in a sense. But before I go into it, I wanted to explain a little further about what we're doing here at the Re-Indigenizing Minds project. I would like to let, well, I should say, I would like to let the world know that the work that we're doing in researching is not only working to retain our indigenous cultural history and story, but we're also helping to regain the true history of all humanity. I hate to tell you, but whether you're red, white, black, or yellow, when it comes to archaeologists and anthropologists, we all been lied to. No matter what race you are, including my own people. I had to do research to find it out, that our real true history isn't what is being presented in a book in a university, a college, or a high school. Which was the main reason, for doing this. But when I originally was doing it, I thought I was just retaining the ancient knowledge for native people. But after going deeper into it and finding out that 3.25 and 9 is 29.25, which is the latitude for Egypt, it draws in the black people. Or that 13.00 south is Angkor Wat, Cambodia, and that brings in the yellow man. And then you go and 16 times 3.25 takes you to 52.00. The Avebury Circle in England, it draws in the white man. So basically, what we're really doing is not just regaining the true history for our native people, but it's also regaining the true history for all of humanity, no matter what race we are. See, a lot of the things that we're reading there are products of the colonial agenda. And what is the colonial agenda? Change the story to where it suits you, where it could help further your own agenda. And that doesn't matter if you're red, white, or any of these other colors you might be. So I just want to let people know that what the work we're doing is not just pertaining just to indigenous people, but it's for all people globally, all over the world. And this knowledge is intended for everybody globally, all over the world. Not just native people, but this is meant to be given back to humanity so they can do their own homework to find out who they really are and not to believe to who they led to believe they are. And let me make that real clear. There's a difference. It's coming down to what I was telling Colleen earlier, that it comes down to taking the colonial chains that are in our minds, and removing those chains. They've been in place too long. The colonial chains need to be removed. Why? Because they colonize your mind. Why? Because the next thing they want is your indigenous soul. And I like my indigenous soul where it is, in me. And I hate to say it, but Christianity is a soul eater. It's, trying to take my indigenous soul and put it to their own use, and it's not their soul to even do that with. I prefer my indigenous soul where it belongs, in me. But back to what I was saying, everything that we're doing in our research is not just indigenous, but it has to do with everybody globally, and my charts are connected to every part of the world, including Australia, Papua New Guinea, including all these places. And it's really a wonderful thing because you understand that you have to learn, well, I had to learn the hard way, that there's two histories I had to learn. There's 31 degrees latitude on this side of the world. Baba Kibri, Yetoi, the creator of mankind. Exactly on the other side of the world, 30 degrees latitude, is Mount Kailash, the home of Shiva, the destroyer of worlds on the other side of the world. 31 degrees latitude is connected to this 31 degrees over here. 35 degrees latitude in Tibet is connected to our 35 degrees over here. I mean, I had to learn Tibetan Buddhism to understand our mapping system on this side, because it is the same mapping system that they used over there, just our counterpart, I guess you would say.
So it's mirrored.
Yes, it's a mirror. The Tibetan Buddhism is an exact mirror of our Southwest. Somewhere in Tibet is a 35 degrees latitude that exactly to where we're at here in the Sandia Valley. There's a 35 degrees, that's the same thing for over there in Tibet Buddhism. And then 29.25 is going to their most sacred rivers that go to the Ganges, which is sacred to them, which is really interesting because 29.25 is also the latitude for the Nile and where the Giza Pyramid is located. They're both at 29.25, 29.25. I mean, are they related? I mean, geez, the coincidences. But basically, I just wanted to let people know that this knowledge we're doing is just for Native people, and it's for everyone. And down the road, when I start the workshops on Patreon, I'm going to be giving the world all of the knowledge. There's no holding back anymore. There's no more time for secrets. There's only the sacred. But now on to the update. About 3 weeks back, and you can look on our presentation, we did a presentation called The Four Men of the Apocalypse. And it shows the four horsemen on our video presentation on our YouTube channel. And not realizing it, but we unintentionally predicted something that we weren't expecting in a sense, but it must be having to do with upstairs. It has to do with this image, and like what I'm going to show here, that when you flip it over, there's this demon with demon wings, and then there's the four horsemen of the apocalypse right in that little area. I'll show the little video clip here, which will explain a little bit more what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to show you what it's connected to. And then I'll leave it up to you to figure out what you want to do with it. All I'm going to do is present what I'm showing for this image, and I'm going to show this video clip. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to go through to a certain place where I'm going to stop it. We'll make it a little larger. This here is Eotoi. He's got his little robe on, and I've shown this before in a class presentation. It's a serpent above his head, serpent robe on, standing on the ramp. It's all, traditional decipherment from, who come shell. What a lot of people think, because I'm native, or we're native, I should say, is that it only concerns indigenous people and indigenous issues. No, the ancient art doesn't have nothing to do with race or gender or any of that. It doesn't discriminate when it comes to spiritual things. As a matter of fact, they told me to show the world this if they decided to go to war. Watch. See the decipherment on the top? Watch as I turn it upside down. And I flip it on over. And I try not to be too shaky here. And see where Eotoi was standing on the ramp earlier in his serpent robe we were looking at earlier? In this area right here?
Yes.
That's indigenous. But once it's flipped over, Spirit instructed me to show the world this, that if they decided to go to war, that the four horsemen of the apocalypse will be released on humanity. There's the demon. There's the four horsemen. There's the apocalypse. Okay, now that image is what I'm showing you. What I just showed you right there is that one. Now, pay attention to this silhouettes, and especially those wings right there. And I'm going to show you something that I have to switch to the other window for you to see. Now, remember those wings and these horsemen. Now, watch. I'm going to enlarge it. Look what's up here. The same image. The same wings, the same figures, the same silhouettes. And according to this, what I was saying the last time, that if they decide to go to war, that it's being decided when to release those horsemen.
There's the eagle associate, and then there's the...
So besides, him playing Jesus and, all the blasphemy stuff here, it's that image that freaks me out, because this is from a Hohokam silver pendant from about 12 to 1300 AD. How in the world did they know that to put this image here when that was going to show up over there? It's mind-boggling. But anyway, I just wanted to update people about the latest thing that we're starting to find over here. And we did this presentation about 3 weeks back when we talked about this. And this just recently happened.
It's happened like this week, this past week.
Yeah, about fell out of my seat. I went, that's that same image that's in the decipherment. But it's in a modern AI card. I mean, everybody can make sense of that. But that's kind of the update I just wanted to let you know. The other one was April 17th. We seem to be sandwiched right between, on the 17th, between celestial events on both sides of us that are reaching historic proportions.
And that was 2 days ago. Today's the 19th, Saturday.
And my biggest fear is because of the new moon and those energy forces going through the new moon and into the earth. I seriously believe it's going to cause earthquakes and maybe tsunamis, and probably in large numbers. Why? Because we released, because we committed blasphemy. So I guess we got to pay now. So that's all I wanted to say. Ancient to the present. So.
Well, that's pretty mind-boggling, Raj.
Tell me about it.
But you also have some other stuff over here that you could let people know what is upcoming and what we've been looking at.
Well, this one just verifies that the Aztecs are on the same year count that we are on here on Reindigenizing Minds. One rabbit, see? 2026. This right here.
And you just bought that yesterday.
Yeah, I just bought this yesterday,
From
so I haven't had too much time to review.
On Central.
But I do know that Flint represents north. North would be that way. Rabbit would be south. So if you flip it this way and you make it that way, that would put Reed to the east, which is east, which would put the house to the west, which makes these the cardinal directions. And which makes this really interesting is that if this is the cardinal directions, then this is pretty simple. This represents northwest. Why? Northwest. House represents west, that represents north. How about this over here? This represents southwest. For here. Southwest. How about over here? South reed, southeast. This represents the east.
So, yep. So here at the very ends of these individual things, those are the years.
Yeah, the
Reed,
year count.
flint, house, rabbit.
The cardinals.
But they represent directions. So if you place this graphic according to the cardinal directions, then that's where it lays out space with the southwest in between.
So now if you look at it that way, that's north, like I said, and that's house, northwest, right?
So yep.
Now you look at it this way. If that's Teotihuacan and it's the diagonal trade route going from southeast to northwest,
Okay.
that means that this is telling you that Teotihuacan is connected to the Tohono in southern Arizona on the west side of their trade arm.
And that's because of the cactus.
Yeah.
Because this specific cactus, that's unique to where the TOs live.
And I started realizing that, and this is also talking about, let me see, there's northeast. This is talking northeast. What was northeast of Teotihuacan? The mouth of the Mississippi River. Because that goes to that area. So if that's going northeast, then this should be southwest. And whatever this is the southwest end of their empire from Teotihuacan. I don't know, maybe it's one of their local trees on there. But you can see that serpent right there? That's telling you that's where the sun goes to when it sets. See? It goes into the earth.
Here, let me turn around. I'm upside down.
Into his mouth.
Sorry, viewers. There we go.
Like I said, we just got it yesterday and we're already seeing all kind of things in it.
Where's the serpent again? Can you point out the serpent?
Oh, see his mouth? Look. Teeth, eyes, nostrils, his mouth. Right there. And then you flip it over. Huh?
Okay, you turned it too fast, Raj.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
There you go.
Oh, I see. Oh, his long tongue, his blue tongue hanging out. And then his teeth.
And then when you put it this way, it's telling you that's where the sun goes into the earth. Why? The earth is swallowing the sun in the west. But like I said, we just got it yesterday. This is...
Raj.
Wait till we got up for a week. We might even...
Well, we also figured something out, remember? And it's related to this book.
Well, and also the Mexica admitted to what our research had been saying. I bring this up because this year, say Tochli, or one rabbit, which is the UN now, in the past, this year's sign was used as the starting point for a new 52-year cycle. Over time, however, after several cycles began during years marked by famine and disease, people decided to shift the beginning of that 52-year cycle to read instead, which is 1 year later. In relation to these shifts, there is also evidence that Seattle, or one reed, was actually the original starting point of the 52-year cycle, though we don't know why or when the system shifted from Seattle, or one reed, to one rabbit. Now it's important what he just said, because they start their count officially on one rabbit, and they can't figure out who's doing the count on one reed. Mexica, pay attention. The Athabascan people of Turtle Island are keeping the count at 1 reed. You notice we didn't start out on 1 rabbit like they are,
Oh,
which is this one over here. That's why their count is off, because the original count was intended to start with what Quetzalcoatl put down, 1 reed. And we're still doing this count, not only doing this count for the past from 842 to 1517. Pay attention, Mexica. 1 reed from 1518 all the way to 13 rabbit in 2037 to 2038. And then it starts all over again in 1 reed again. So we have the all set up for all of the dates of the ancient times, as well as into the present and into the future. And most important, back to itself, where everything started in 842. So we could get together with a Mexica, we could help teach you how to do the count from 1 reed, because it's very important. There's nothing wrong with March 21st. It's great for agriculture, when you're doing corn, planting and harvesting and all that. But if you want to do your prophecies, predictions, or astronomical celestial events that are in the heavens, there's only one you can use, 1 reed. And then it all makes sense, because it's not going to work from 1 rabbit. You could figure out everything from 1 reed. Colleen,
and the reason they made it 1 rabbit, or they did 2 reed. Yeah, they moved
followed
it
1 year, like you said.
And that is in the Codex, which is over here.
And that's admitted by them in the present. And this is us in the present still using 1 reed. I think they forgot how to use 1 reed, to be honest with you. I don't think they even know the count we have here. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with their count. Everything has a reason. March 21st is great for agriculture, for planting, harvesting, and all that.
Well, since we're going to talk about 1 reed and 1 rabbit, I have them both marked here in the Codex. Maybe you could talk about it. Here's the 1 reed, which is the page we're always looking for, because it's folio 41V. It's...
Year of 1 rabbit. There were so many rats in the province of Mexico that they're all seeds. In this year they were to bind the years according to their count, and because it was always a difficult year for them, Montezuma, not the Spaniards, not the white man, changed it to 2 reed. Big mistake. You know why he changed it to reed? Because it was predicted that in the year 1 reed he was going to die at the age of 52. And that was the destiny. And he wanted to change that. And he thought he could do it by making it 2 reed. He would avoid 1 reed and he wouldn't die. It didn't. Do you want
to bring it to 1 reed over here? Because of that page right there. That's the 1 reed you just showed me today.
Well, I haven't had this book in a year because
I brought it back. I had used it in my classroom. It taught many kids.
Well, what we were doing was figuring out. See, there's 1 reed, but according to this, what we're finding, which was really a mind boggler, it's out of sync. Maybe the Mexica could explain. Maybe they might know the reason, and I'll explain to it. And I could even show them what I mean that it's out of sync.
Well, I think you've posed a valid reason that you've hypothesized for it being out of sync, because they were being...
They said we're in 1 rabbit. Look, there's 1 rabbit. That's 2026. Then there's 2 reed, which was that where they changed it to. 3 flint, which is connected to somebody that's in a body bag over here that's not alive anymore, connected to a capital. And then 4 house. 4 house, what is supposed to happen there? That's giving you a heads up that in 11 years, there's going to be a solar flare. How do I know that? it says, it tells you, I'll show you how. You see that line right there? It's telling you to count from this line. I got to do 11 years for a solar cycle, which is this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6
years, 7 years,
8, 9, 10, 11. There's the solar flare coming down from the stars in heaven. It's right there. Which is the beginning of the modern Carrington event, I guess you would say. And then there's a shift of power where Native people get their seat of authority back, and the non-natives are starting to fall out of their chair until they're gone.
Well, in the Mayan Codex, this same time period is right when they say there is an end to our losing.
And that's when I was going 11, 12, 13, and then I went over here. This is why I might need the Mexica's help. There's a finger here that's pointing here. But guess what?
What?
Let me see if I do this right. Oh, where's the solar flare? There's 11, 12, 13. But where this 13 is at is in a place where it should be 13 rabbit. That's when I realized that.
Oh, because of 13, the 4-year cycle. I mean, the rabbit cycle starts 1 rabbit and it ends 13 rabbit 13 years later.
And then the beginning of the next cycle will go to 1 reed.
Yeah, 1
but
reed
that is not
ends
1
with 13
reed. I mean, you go here, it's, well, anyway, back to what I was saying earlier. It seems to be going to tell me about, let's see, 1 reed, which where its finger is at, where somebody is taking power. And I went, 1 reed, taking power. And there's a finger there. So I went all the way back, all the way back, all the way back, all the way back. Kept going, I kept searching, I couldn't find it for nothing. And then something occurred to me which really surprised me. Because I had to look for that number, 13 rabbit. There it is. Now it's in order.
And look, it's kind of burnt.
That's what I mean. It's
Do they mark it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's out of chronological order. I guess they put it that way to save themselves from the Inquisition, I think. So after 13 rabbit, it really should be 1 reed right here. Why do I know this is correct? That number right there, 1467, 1466 was the year Montezuma was born. You minus 260 from that, it takes you to 1206. 1207 is when Eotoi of southern Arizona of the Tohono was born. You take minus 260 from 1207, it takes you to 947. Who was born in 947? Quetzalcoatl himself, which is one of the sacred twins. I guess that's why they're fighting. And there he is assuming his position of power there. And
well,
then
one of them's mad and poking the other one, and the other one is the one that I think ascended to power.
Well, you got to look at it this way. The guy that's poking him right here, that's probably Tezcatlipoca, and that's probably Quetzalcoatl. Line, line, line. He's gone. He's in. But anyways, this is out of chronological order.
So we're in the year 1 rabbit.
Yeah.
And in 13 years, we'll be in the year 13 rabbit.
And that's what.
And then after 13 rabbit is 1 reed.
Which
And
shows this right here, showing the right year, and then over here, There's one reed again. There's a finger pointing at it. And there's a new religion. This thing's pretty accurate, but it's just out of sync. You just got to put it in the chronological order. This is really important too, because now that we've shown you the dates that are correlating to this, I'd like the Mexica, or even the Maya and the people down there, to understand now that we come across, this this numbering system, that all of these dates that you're seeing here on these codexes that you're watching where they're migrating, they all can now be dated by the calendar that we have over here. It's a history book, and it will show you the exact years when these occurred. You go through it, and it's a big history book of the entire migration, of everything that they did when they left this area and went to there. And now we can put it in chronological order, and this is a history book, basically.
And this is the 52-year cycle. And so right now we're in the year 1 rabbit, which started November 3rd, 2025. And 13 years later, here we have 13 rabbits. After 13 rabbit, which is the end of a 52-year cycle, we start at 1 reed when the Pleiades is directly overhead at its zenith.
And here's 1 reed in the history book.
Dilya is standing up.
That must be Quetzalcoatl in that one. I mean, no, that's 1 rabbit. I mean, for the past, where we're at now in 2026. This is 1 rabbit for them. What was going on? See what I mean?
Whoa, what's going on in 1 rabbit? 1,000 years ago.
Somebody's going to war. Is that interesting?
Oh.
It's a city slicker and a savage with a bow and arrow. And there's a city slicker over on that side.
Oh my God.
And they're going to war. And what is going on today? War. See?
Wow. And then, well, is that...
And that's just an example, because look, all of these are tied to all of these here. Tells us the history of everything. Now we can date everything that happened in the past, and it can correlate to something that makes sense. Just quit believing the archaeologists and the Spanish chroniclers, and then we could do our work.
So this is the year count calendar that is derived from the 260-day calendar.
It's the key.
It's Earth's year count starts 1 reed at 13 years later is when it ends on 13 reed. Or I guess I should say 12 years later. But yeah, there's a total of 13 years in the first quarter. That is a reed. Flint. House. Rabbit cycles. Okay, and what's really interesting, if you look at each of them, you see that pattern: reed, flint, house, rabbit, reed, flint, house, rabbit, reed, flint, house, rabbit, so on and so forth for Earth's year count.
Weird that 1 rabbit is years that Montezuma changed it to, and at the same time that Trump did this, at the same time.
1 rabbit? Oh my God. Yeah, so that's what happened in 1 rabbit.
Changing history, or trying to change history.
Jeez.
Out of curiosity, I'm just going to play a little bit more of this and then call the presentation good. I just was curious what I said. Now that has nothing to do with indigenous belief, has nothing to do with Hohokam, any of that. But the art is a portal that can go into the past or into the future and show you and present you things regardless of race or any of that. And so Spirit said if they decide to go to war, flip this discernment over and remind humanity of their consequences of making the decision to go to war, is that the 4 men of the apocalypse are going to be released upon the world. And that's the presentation, folks. That's the update. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. This is a battle of light and dark. Now it's up to you to make the choice of what side you're on. I did my job. Now, let's see if you can make the right choice to avoid a lot of more turmoil and suffering. If not, those guys are going to be released on us because we're being bad people down here.